G'day. Well, I think it's safe to say that we have solved our power issues. For the time being. At least until we get nuclear. So, what I'm about to show you now is just one of two power plants. Everything you see here, we have another power plant exactly the same somewhere else, and I will show it. I'd say exactly the same, I mean almost exactly the same. The trains are laid out a bit differently and a few other things, but it's the same amount of power plants. So this power plant, this power plant has 264 fuel generators using Turbofuel. Times that by 2 and that's 528 fuel generators on Turbofuel. So you've probably noticed that in the videos I've been using the assistance of flying, and that is pretty much just to help with making a video. It just makes it so much easier to show everything. That being said, we are designing our entire world so it's accessible by foot and trains, and you don't actually need flying. So just to quickly show an example of that for this power plant, we are going to have elevators and hypertubes and trains going everywhere. So we can actually get to the top of this power plant without having to use flying. But I will use flying to show this place around because it's just so much easier. So this one's out to the west on the coast. It's a pretty sweet location. This is the top floor here. It's 4 floors. 4 floors of 66 Turbofuel generators on each floor. I'll just go through what it took to get us to this stage. Just do this for a bit of assistance. Alright, so this is the top floor. Basically how it works is there's 4 floors of 66 and the bottom 2 production line floors are what's making our Turbofuel. The Turbofuel gets made and sent up this pumping spine and distributes the Turbofuel to each floor. And it's turned out pretty sweet. So the first thing I'll go through is the oil. We have 4 oil nodes here, giving us 1200 oil. Each oil node does 300, and it doesn't matter if you get a pure node or a normal node. The most you can get out of a node, oil node, is 300 at this stage of the game. And that's simply because the most you can get into a pipe is 300 so far. So we've got our pipes coming in down this nice neat oil bus into our Turbofuel manufacturing area. Now I will quickly just say, because I know that at least someone in the comments is going to mention that this isn't the most efficient way to do Turbofuel, and I'm not claiming that it is. There is an insane way of doing it with using diluted water, etc, etc. And we are not doing that because really we just want to get up and running up until we get nuclear. But this one's actually, the way we've done it's pretty efficient as well. So we have our 1200 oil coming in, and it goes into 40 refineries. Now that we're doing the alternate here, which is heavy oil residue. So we have 30 times 40, which is 1200. That's all our oil getting turned into 1600 heavy oil residue in 40 refineries. The way we're dealing with the heavy oil, the byproduct, the polymer resin byproduct, we're just crushing it at the moment. Maybe we'll use it for something later, but at this stage it's just so easy to just get rid of it. Alright. So there, we got 1600 heavy oil residue getting made. They come down these lines and merge into the one system in the middle here before it goes off into the Turbofuel refineries. Just quickly mention one thing. We did decide to paint our pipes, and that's for two reasons. The first one being it looks cool, and the second one is it's actually functional, because when you're dealing with big systems like this, it's actually quite handy to know just at a glance what is in the lines for when you're troubleshooting and stuff if things aren't working. So obviously black is oil, purple is heavy oil residue, and red is our turbo fuel. Cool, so that goes into 40 refineries, which is 5 sets of 8. Now if you're counting this when you're looking at it, you're going to notice there's actually only 6 in each row. And what we've done is, it is effectively 8 in each row, because the first 2 refineries in each row we've cranked up to 200%. So effectively it's 8 in each row. And the reason we've used shards is simply because of the space to fit it in. We pretty much only use shards as a space saving mechanism. So then that makes our turbo fuel. It actually works out to be 1200 turbo fuel. 5 production lines of turbo fuel comes out, and we merge it into 4 lines here. Now this looks a little bit elaborate, which it is, but I can assure you it is functional, and this is actually a load balancer for the oil, for the turbo fuel rather. Now before I go up and show the pumping in the spine, we've got to go underneath, because obviously to make the turbo fuel we're using the alternate, which uses the heavy oil residue. We need the compacted coal, and that's why our train's here as well, because our trains are bringing in the sulfur and the coal to make the compacted coal, which is happening underneath here. And let me just say that putting these belts in, that's a task. I mean, the belts and the pipes, that takes a while. So putting the buildings in and the foundation is not so bad, but the power lines, the belts and the pipes, that takes ages. Anyway, we've got 50 assemblers here, 25 each side, and we're merging all the compacted coal together and setting it up these nice neat I guess mini spines that go up into the production floor. So that's our compacted coal underneath. Alright, so with pumps they're always hard to make look neat, so we generally for pumping spines cover them up, but I will just show inside how this works. I've left a little hole here just to go in and cover that up, and that's why we haven't painted these pipes, because it's not meant to be seen. But basically we have 4 lines coming in, because we have 1200 turbo fuel in total, and we pump it up to each floor, and goes out on each floor exactly the same, and gets distributed evenly amongst the floors. We'll just go to the first floor. So it comes out in 2 lines, because on each floor there's 33 on this side, 33 refinery fuel generators, and 33 on this side. We're also merging it in the middle into these fluid buffers, because it's always good to have surplus. Now everything's filling up, because obviously the power we're drawing we're not using it all, so it's going to be in surplus, which is good. And the buffers look cool. So one of these power plants will give you 39,600 megawatts of power. We're sitting at 85 at the moment, because we also have our starter base, which had heaps of coal power plants, and that's going to get deleted. But we're sitting pretty good for power at the moment. We're only drawing about 17 at the moment, and that's because our trains are backed up on our main ingot production at the moment. So yeah, that's our power plant. There's another one. I'll just quickly show on the map. So this is where we are now. We're using these 4 oil nodes, and our other power plant is over here, and it's almost the same, almost identical. It's the same amount of power. I'll just quickly show. This is our save file loaded into the map. This is our main base up here. This is the power plant that we're at right now. And this is the grasslands with our iron ingot projects. And over here, this is our other power plant. So one thing we've done with our world is every building and project is perfectly lined up with each other on the same grid, and it's north, south, east, west. But then our train lines, we want to have our train lines kind of going with the natural roads on the world and that, so trains can do their thing and not be square, and all our buildings are going to be square. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to take a little train tour across to the other train station. If you don't want to see that, then probably just end it there. But all I'm going to do is go across to the other power station and do a little tour of our world so far, which is going to take 5 minutes. So we'll just change this to our other power station, this one. Autopilot on, and away we go. So yeah, I think this turned out pretty good. Looks pretty nice. Yeah, so you'll see how we've put the trains following the natural curvature of the natural roads. And I timed this train journey. It takes exactly 5 minutes to get to the other side. So you can see the mega base in the center of the map there. It's still in the design phase. It's going to look something like that. It does have a massive square on top, but we're going to change. We're going to play around with it and make it look sick. Train line that goes through that cave there. It's pretty cool, but we're not taking it. So coming in the main western entrance to our mega base, and we have a main entrance north, south, east and west. So the trains come in underneath the main train stations, and then there's a ring road in the middle. And a lot of this is still, we're playing around with design. It's not all permanent. We're going to clip through another train here, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. But we've got it set up so it goes through the legs. You see the trains sometimes glitch out on the intersections there, like that one did. Just going to go down through the grasslands. So over on the left there is our massive copper ingot production, which makes 12,000 copper ingots per minute. And over there on the right is our iron ingot production, which does 20,000 iron ingots per minute. And I made a video of each of those if you haven't seen it too. We just cruise through the grasslands here. A little bit of FPS lag. That's okay. There's our copper ingot bus. And we're back on the natural roads again. Brought the train lines around this crater. As you can see, another train's going around there. This here is a sulfur station, which takes sulfur to our other power station, which is in the distance now. And yeah, we really wanted to use this road here. This is a sick road, hanging over the edge of the void. It looks pretty cool. So we definitely want to put train lines along this. And here's our other power station, with another 264 fuel generators on it. These took a lot of work, but it's finally finished and we can get started on the mega base now, which is going to be sweet. So yeah, that's it. Catch us later.